What's up, everybody? My name is Arshana. I'm 29 years old. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, as y'all can tell from the video. I Cynthia was my blood sister. We have the same dad, different moms. I did just want to come on here and address a few things that I seen in the comments. But before I address anything negative, I do want to thank everybody who did comment and give your condolences. I know that it's a negative situation. I know that it has a negative light around what happened to my sister, but I really just wanted to thank those who did, kind of humanize her and say like, okay, no matter what she did, nobody deserves to have their life taken, because I wholeheartedly stand for that. That's the whole reason why I even did the TV show, because just a little backstory. When she was first missing, we went through so much on the internet about how, like, basically people basically saying like, oh, she was on Backpage, like, ain't no telling where she at, this is what she deserved. People were saying things as low as that she was a transvestite. I mean, the list just goes on. We were like literally bashed on the internet for, her choosing to do what she did with her life. Um, and I don't think nobody deserved that. No matter what you decide to do in your life, like, that's what you decide to do at the end of the day, especially in your personal time. Like, as you can see, a lot of our family did not even know what she had going on. Just as well as I'm sure it's a lot of people that's even in the comments, y'all family probably don't know what y'all are doing in y'all personal time either. Like, but it is what it is. Like, it's life, things happen. And then, it's crazy. But once again, I do just want to thank everybody who did send love, send light, because that's what I'm all about, positivity. And I just love life. I love people in general. Even y'all, everybody can have y'all opinion. I'm not saying that y'all can't have y'all opinion on things. I'm just saying, I just wanted to address the comments, basically, just to kind of give a little bit more explanation. Not saying it to change your mind or anything, but just to give a little bit more explanation on what was presented on the TV show. So basically, just a little backstory on a TV show. For one, they reached out to my sister's mom and said, hey, do you guys want to do the TV show? Got this show, Fatal Attraction, and we are covering Cynthia's story. In so many words, it was like, hey, we don't need y'all permission to do it because the story was a public story, but this is the chance, if y'all wanted to, share something about her, or, put something in the world about her, that we can do it. So her mom reached out to me and my dad and was like, hey, is it something that, we all would want to do? They're reaching out, wanting to cover her story. So we were like, oh, at first we were kind of like, on the fence about it, like, because we remember how much backlash that we got when it first happened. But then we started to think like, oh, maybe this is the time we can really just explain the type of person that she was, because the world never got to see that. All they seen on the news when this happened was just, oh, she was just a girl missing that was on Backpage. So we like, okay, we're going to shed light on the person that she actually was instead of what she did to make her money. So we decided to do the show. That's why y'all seeing us speaking so positively about her. Not that we were ever speak negative about her, but that's why y'all seeing so much of that, because that was the whole point of us doing the show, was to just spread love and light to her name, just because she never got that. And she kind of like, just didn't want her to die, like, without the world knowing who she really was. So yeah, that's that. So we decided to do the show. The show was filmed last year, like, I want to say, it was filmed last year, like around April. So yeah, but in regards to the actual TV show, yes, the way that the TV show is filmed, they literally ask questions like, how was your childhood? I probably, y'all seen that interview. I should have watched it before I made this video, honestly, because I never watched it since the first time I watched it. But y'all probably seen 45 minutes. I think the show was probably like 45 minutes or an hour. If y'all pay attention, me, her mom, her cousin, her auntie, and her friend, or two of her friends, all filmed the TV show, right? and they're asking questions like, how was your childhood from when you first remember? Like, of course they wanted to ask me when I first met her, but they probably asked everybody, like, oh, when did you first meet her, or what grade was y'all in? We talked about our childhood. They ask questions, and then they go up to the questions of, okay, where were you when you first found out this happened? Like, how did you feel? Like, literally, they asked so many questions. I think my interview alone was like 2 hours long. Probably not 2 hours. I'm probably exaggerating, but at least like an hour long. So y'all got to keep in mind, they're not putting, the show is edited. It's a TV show. So they're not putting everything that you say on that TV show. They're just not doing it. They have their objective of how the episode is going to go, and they chop and screw it just like any other TV show that's out there. So you have to keep that in mind before you go giving opinions and based off of, and I'm not saying y'all opinions are valid. I'm just saying, like, you could have to keep that in mind before making judgmental comments on like a post like this, especially being that this is a sensitive post. Like, don't comment being insensitive, like, because you don't really know like how it happened. There was like a few comments that I did want to say. We did not, I seen like a comment that said like we were as a family defending her toxic behavior, or I think something about us being dumb, like our family being dumb for enabling her. That was not the case. That was not the case. And inside the interview, I talked about when I first found out what she was doing. I also talked about when I did find out what she was doing. At this time I was 19 or 20 years old. So, and when like I think she was probably about 22, 23. Like, she's grown. You can't tell no grown person what to do with their life. Like, you just can't do that. She was living this life for a couple years when we first found out, and then she got sick of it. She did. I was working at Arby's at the time. I told her, hey, how about you come, for y'all that don't know Arby's, I don't know how worldwide it is, but it is a fast food restaurant. I'm like, come work with me for a minute so you can leave that life alone. Like, you've been having a lot of issues. These issues that y'all seen on the show was not the only issues she encountered. So that was just, we'll talk about that later. But so I told her to come work at Arby's for a minute, just see how it is, she did that. She came, she worked for a good about 6 months, probably, like maybe a little bit less. The money was too slow for her. She was used to a certain lifestyle. She's grown. I can't say, oh, please, like, hold her on chains and whips and say, oh, you can't leave the house and do that today. I can't do that. She was my big sister. And I can't speak for everybody else as far as like, my dad or her mom. Because I do know some issues that occurred when my dad found out what she was doing or whatever. It was big issues, honestly. But that's not my story to tell. If they decide to tell that story at a later date, they can. But that's not my story to tell. All I'm here is to tell y'all, basically, to try, because I know y'all still gonna feel how y'all feel, but to try to clear up a few things. So, yes, she did come working, and it just wasn't, it was too slow for her. She was working for real, and she was getting her checks, but when she was getting a check in 2 weeks, she was used to making in one night, 2 days. So that wasn't enough for her. She went back to doing what she was doing. She stopped again and was talking about going back to school. She just was tired of that life. This is right before the event happened. Honestly, she stopped. She was not doing it for a long time, and this time, honestly, when I was made aware of what happened, that she didn't come home that night, I was like, oh, she still doing. I didn't even think that she was back doing that, honestly. But you don't know. We're all grown. So, another issue that a comment that I seen was basically someone saying that Arshana is dismissive. You would have never waited a day. Hold on. We're not gonna do that. It wasn't that I was only worried about going to work. Again, during that TV show, they were asking where was I at, how did I know, what happened, what event, and I had to explain like, oh, I had to go to work this day, so that was the reason why, I'm like, I knew that she wasn't gonna not take me to work. Like that's what she my sister, we real close. She always keep her word with me. We don't do that type of stuff. So I was just like, early, so the day that it happened, my sister, her and Cynthia is not sisters, but they live together, and because they still were real close. That's just how we are. So my sister called me and said, it was like 7:00 in the morning, hey, Cynthia didn't come home last night, and I'm calling her phone going to voicemail, she not answering. So I'm like, okay, that's not normal, but it's like that it can happen. Again, you have to be realistic here in this situation. So yes, it can happen. So I'm like, okay, well, it was a helicopter going by, but so I'm like, okay, well, if she don't come home within by the time I gotta get up and go to work, like then we know something. Or I'm like, call me back if she call you or she text you, like, because I'm like, you're not thinking the worst like that, especially like that's just not how we are. But my sister was a little worried, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna cuss her out, like, junk, like, don't do that. We was worried or whatever. So I tried to go back to sleep, and I couldn't sleep for a minute. About 10 o'clock, I'm calling again. I'm like, she still ain't came? And she like, no, like, I'm getting worried. So I'm like, okay, like, this not right. And then this day that I'm at, and I did get up and go to work, because at the time, it's really, honestly, now when I think back, yeah, I probably could have just like not went to work and went to the police station. But you're not thinking like that. Like, that wasn't how I was thinking at the time. I did not think that nothing was wrong with my sister. The whole time, even when I'm going to work, I'm like, I'm about to cuss her out. She probably somewhere asleep, like, because it probably has happened where she'll go a days and we don't talk. So it just was weird that she didn't come home. So even with me headed to work, I'm like, I can't wait till she answered the phone. I'm gonna cuss her out. Of course, I go to work. I'm working at a call center throughout the day. I'm checking in with my sister, like, so she still ain't there. Now I'm getting worried. I'm getting off the phones. I'm calling my dad. I'm calling her mom. Like, Cynthia ain't came home last night, and I just don't know what's wrong. She don't do this. Like, I think that something was wrong. So now my dad and everybody is like, check hospitals, check police stations. Like, that's the type of places that you want to check. And be sure to check up under her name, check up under your name, like, just in, certain stuff. So I'm like, okay, I'm doing that all while I'm at work on my lunch. Like, that's what I'm doing. Like, I'm trying to find her for real, like, because what's going on? And I'm still like, you had that inkling in the back of your mind, like, yeah, oh, something might be wrong, but it's like, nah, you don't really want to think that. So I'm like, okay, when I'm getting up, I now left work early that day, because I'm like, I can't sit here and think, like, I gotta go. Now what y'all don't see on a TV show is when you go to file a police report, especially in Detroit, let's just start there, especially in Detroit, they're not gonna take you serious. Like, they're gonna be like, oh, she 23, oh no, she probably just somewhere don't want to be bothered. That's exactly what happened to me. It happened to me when I first called the officer the night when I got off of work. So I'm like, okay, well, let me keep looking, because now I got into my head, like, maybe maybe it's not nothing that bad that could have happened. Maybe she is somewhere asleep. Maybe she don't want to be bothered. Like, she live a fast lifestyle, so I'm thinking that in my head. That whole night I could not sleep. Me and my little sister got up at 6:00 in the morning the next day, and I went to the police station, and I told them, like, okay, my sister's missing again. Like, I called, I spoke to an officer, I talked to an officer, all the report, and they like, oh, it has to be a 3-day like wait or whatever. They have to be missing for 3 days before you can file a report. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I get up at 6:00 that next morning with me and my little sister. We actually go to the police station. And this is as back, like, cause I remember it vividly. This was traumatic for me, so I remember. And I remember going in. I told them my sister was missing. I told them she was 23 years old. Of course, they're gonna be like, oh, she just probably, we can't put out a report. She got to be missing for 72 hours. She probably just don't want to be bothered. So yes, I am thinking like, yeah, she probably don't want to be bothered. She live a fast lifestyle. So now that I got that in my head, like maybe so, but I'm still calling different hospitals, calling different police stations just to see. Well, the police station that already told me that she wasn't, they didn't have her in the system. So I'm calling different hospitals when I'm leaving for there. Even that night, I'm not gonna even tell y'all, I called the morgue. They didn't have because somebody told me to call the morgue and see if they had an unidentified body. They didn't have nobody. When I left from that police station, I came home. I went to another police station and I lied and told them that she was missing for 3 days in order for them to give me a police report, because I was working at OnStar at the time, and in order for me to do an emergency like check or to do a to locate her car, you had to have a police report. So they gave me a police report because I told them that she was missing for 3 days at this time. So then that's how when it all started. So yes, it wasn't like I just sat and twiddled my thumbs for 24 hours like, oh, she'll come back. It wasn't that. It's just like realistically thinking, like in reality, y'all have to really put yourself. Y'all don't know how stuff is until you're in that situation. You don't know what you don't know what you would do. You don't know how you will react. You don't know like your mindset. You don't know that. So just keep this in mind before y'all comment on the internet, like making little posts and comments on situations when you haven't been in a situation. That's just what it is. And then also keep in mind that TV is meant to entertain y'all. I'm not saying that the TV show had a few things that was like I'm not saying that the TV show, didn't do a good job, because I think they kind of did, like paint her. Now, the whole thing with the Terrence guy and her running off with money, I have never heard of that a day in my life, and I know my sister case from the front to the back. I never heard of that. I mean, I'm not saying that it didn't happen. They probably did interview. We do know that they interviewed multiple people. Y'all don't know what people say to get the people, to get the back, like get the heat off of them, or to make they self look better. You don't know what's going on. All y'all know is what y'all seen on the TV. I've never heard of this Terrence guy, and I of course I probably heard of a lot of people that she was dealing with, but I never heard of that situation where the detectives ever called. Now, when my sister was missing, the detectives was calling, like, every time they got a lead or a piece of information, like, hey, do you know anybody about this name? Do you know this? They were calling my phone. They called me when they had her body and was asking me about her tattoos. Like, so they were calling, they called my job looking for me. So it wasn't like, I feel like if that, I'm not saying it didn't happen, but I'm just saying, like, I just found it weird that I never heard of that, like when the detectives, and nobody in my family, not just me, nobody, we all was like taken aback when we was watching the show, like, wait, what is this about? Because we knew that we wanted to paint her in a good light, and we knew exactly what was going to come from that, what y'all doing now, what y'all saying now. So it was just weird. But yeah, like other than that, I mean, I would answer more questions. Y'all can put more questions if y'all want, because one thing about me, and everybody know it, it's been 8 years as of 2 days ago that my sister been gone, and I'm healed now. I can talk about a lot. I couldn't do this just 4 years ago. Like, I could not do that, but therapy helps, God heals, so I can talk about a lot of stuff. If y'all had questions, ask them, but please don't get on here, just making judgmental remarks and just saying stuff and y'all really don't know. And most importantly, y'all haven't been in this situation. Until you're in this situation and you see how things like really play out, and you see how things can just turn, like, perception is everything, and it's all about how you perceive something. And like I said, unless you were in this situation, please don't judge. Please don't. Y'all don't know what people go through. Y'all don't know what trials and tribulations, what trauma people was fighting that make them do certain things, and how, what they're battling internally. So just please just try to, like, the world needs more grace. The world needs more love, more light. Like, don't be a negative person when it's already a world full of these people. Like, just try to put yourself in people's shoes before y'all comment, crazy stuff. And I know y'all probably still gonna do it, but just please try to just, think about that. And once again, I do want to thank everybody that did send love, send light, send their condolences. I appreciate that. I really, really appreciate that. Y'all don't know like how good it is to have somebody humanize her, or to see that people understand. So I do thank y'all. As I said, if y'all have any more questions, please feel free to ask. I will answer them for y'all, trust me. Bye.